everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Daily Dialogues. And today is going to be a little bit special. And as you can see here, Harold has opened their mouth, and we have a guest in here. So fantastic, as always. Before we introduce the guest, I will just introduce myself. Hi, I'm Hez, and that person over there across from me is T. And as you can see, we have a person here in Harold's mouth. The GM from the Vibrant of South America, the GM of a wonderful series, Devil's Creek, in which I'm part of, a god of themselves, and most importantly, a professional GM, JV. Hello.
Hello. That was quite the introduction there.
Oh yeah. It's honestly a proper introduction for a wonderful individual as yourself. So hi.
He's the god of Brazil.
The god of Brazil.
And also,
Yeah.
like to say a thank you for for Harold here for the chest, because it allowed me to use the portal inside it to reach here.
Yeah. Harold is more than
You
willing
look
to give
very
it away.
warm inside Harold. You look.
It is surprisingly cozy as long as you don't get poked by the teeth.
For sure.
We're so glad you could join us today.
Yeah.
Boy, do we have an interesting session for you and for everyone watching.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. As you can see, this is pre-recorded. This is gonna be what we're gonna do for interviews, but yeah. Even then, the vibes are still the same. We're just gonna be really chaotic itself, but this time it's just recorded and have a guest. So for those, you're just gonna get through the interview then, right?
Well, let's start with an introduction to JB by JB, because we think of him as a god, but how do you see yourself, JB?
Ooh, pretty good question.
I am Brazilian, as Hasn't mentioned. A professional DM, technically. I do DM on Start Playing a couple games. Been a DM for 5 years, I believe now, and DM Devil's Creek here on the Twitch. There's some VODs on the YouTube channel. More should come soon, but we had some technical difficulties with the VODs.
Yeah.
It's not a Divinity DnD production without a couple of technical difficulties every video.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, actually, I just want to. Sorry, T. I'm pretty sure you have something planned, but I just want to hop on in immediately, starting off with how did you discover DTRPG, like D&D in general? I'm curious about that.
That is a good question. My first exposure was with a Brazilian channel that was doing, I think at the time it was 3.5. I think it was very early on 5e. So they were doing 3.5, and I was still pretty young. And so I just started watching because I really, really enjoyed it. And eventually they, as 5e became more popular, they transitioned into using 5e as well. And I just learned a lot through watching it, and eventually I began to watch other stuff. I started watching Critical Role and other things, and I really, really started to want to play. So I bought the starter kits, the player's handbook from a local store here, and I just invited a couple of my friends and started DMing. That was how I started. This was 2019 that I started DMing.
Oh my god! So you just went into it then? That's crazy.
I was the one that had to bring everyone in, since within the friend group was the only one that knew D&D, so I just had to start DMing.
Was there reluctance at the beginning, or was there already interest on doing it?
On my part, I was very, very much wanting it. Two of my friends, they really got into it as well. One of them is also like started like DMing. He DMs a lot, almost more than me now. But yeah, some of them got really into it. Some of them tried and then kind of dropped out. But yeah, it was not like quick, but it did end up forming a little group there until the lasted until the pandemic.
Huh. Yeah, especially during the. Yeah, that makes sense. And do you think that the transition, like, I believe it's like in person, right, at the beginning?
Yeah, I started playing in person.
Yeah, how did it feel when you had to like move in person to like online because of the lockdown that 2020 had, given to us, unfortunately?
Yeah. It was it was like adaptation. I already had used Roll20 before, just for like general stuff. But like with the pandemic, I really had to dive in and learn how to use it because I use Roll20 as the main VTT. And yeah, it took a little while at the beginning. I didn't know how to use any sheets, so I mostly just used like actual like physical sheets that we had when I transitioned into using the virtual tabletop. But eventually I learned better how to make NPC sheets and everything. And now like I'm actually thinking about like gathering this group of friends again and starting a new RL game some point soon, maybe next month. And I'm probably gonna use like a mixture between like online and real life. Like we're gonna play in real life, but probably use like online sheets and stuff like that, just because it's easier to get track of.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Any thoughts about that, T?
Oh, not. I mean, in the sense of just, I'm just listening to the perspective that JB has, because I think mainly for me, my experience has been online. Most of DMing and most of playing has been online. So it's really interesting to see someone who got into it like properly, like pen and paper D&D.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, actually, that actually brings up an important question. Do you think it's like better to start like pen and paper than online?
I mean, depends on the situation. I don't think there's like inherently a better way. I did enjoy like pen and paper because I do think you generally learn faster since you're like writing everything down and stuff like that. But it's definitely a lot slower of a way to play. It takes a while, having to erase, rewrite stuff. And I like for magic items, I would just like print and like cut like pieces of paper to hand to people when they got a magic item, and they ended up having like massive like piles of like magic item like strips of paper. Especially because everyone was very very free with magic items. I gave them almost every session.
Oh my god!
You need a binder to play physical D&D.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I played. Okay, so my experience playing physical D&D has been kind of similar, where like the DM will give you like either physical paper, like clippings or whatever, or they'll just expect you to like write all of it down, and it's just it's stressful.
So you have to like pick which one you wanna, which challenge you wanna take, huh?
All of that in between, you have to keep manually adding your dice rolls, which that in and of itself, I think in person is so.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say personally is that IRL for me, it's a lot less prep because I don't have to prepare sheets or anything, and if I need like a random combat, I don't have to like quickly Google and grab a map and then quickly make a sheet. I can just like draw on the board a little like map using like a dry erase marker and then like open a sheet on another tab, and there we go. Right, I can just make a combat like that, and it's a lot less prep if I generally having in my head how the session's gonna go.
Yeah, I agree.
That's for me personally.
yeah, I'm currently like dabbling in person because of my IRL group, and yeah, I realized that I was able to like, you know, set up a combat really quickly in person because I just need like to look up stats rather than online that you have to prep the map, you have to prep the no the stat sheet so you don't have to like go through a million places to get them. I Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. How
Yep.
about you, T?
I mean, I guess I can ask one of our submitted questions since I have
Oh
them
shit.
put up on here.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're okay with that, Has I can
Yeah, no problem. No
I
problem.
can ask. So this one, so there's two questions from this user, Skittle 1923. I don't
Mm.
recognize the username, but hello. The questions that Skittle asks is, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen happen while DMing a campaign, and what's the most interesting campaign you've DM'd so far?
Oh,
Ooh.
those are two good questions.
Yeah, that's really hard.
The
Cue
most
Skittle.
interesting thing. Let's see. I mean, I've seen a lot of very interesting things. I
Mm.
in one of my campaigns, I I saw Divine's character suplex a giant snake. That was fun.
That sounds like the mine.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, uh, really put me on the spot to think here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all good. It's fun. Uh, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's yeah, one time, I won't really put interesting, but I'll say like kind of. I guess it is interest, but like is some players how quickly they can like even catch me by surprise and how they can turn a situation.
Mm.
Like I had one campaign which was a very hard combat. It was actually a recent session. And there was an area filled with undead. They were undead beholder, and you
Mm.
know they masterfully handled that. They like the boss had a scroll, and they managed to like knock that off their hand. They used like a smoke bomb to cover the area so the beholder couldn't see anyone. They really like quickly turned around, and like a combat that was supposed to be very hard, they managed to get out. Like they took quite a bit of damage, but they managed to get out like fairly easily out of it, and that's always fun and interesting how, you know, no matter how you plan, you things can easily flip around.
Mm.
Right. I guess
Yeah.
to piggyback off of those questions, I mean, also the second question is, what's the most interesting campaign you've DM'd so far?
Interesting campaign. I mean, the campaign I like the most to DM is my One Piece one. It's been going on for nearly 3 years now.
Oh boy. Damn. Congratulations.
3 years.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a feat. Like the viewers
Yeah,
might not
and it's
realize,
still
like especially
going.
new ones. Yeah, the viewers might not know this, or especially like newer GMs. It is very difficult to have like a campaign more than a year sometimes.
Yeah, the stamina it requires is
Yeah, the stamina it requires,
crazy.
and you know, people they fail to realize that people grew and their situation changed over time. And my
Yeah,
God, 3
scheduling is
years.
always an
That's
issue.
crazy. Yeah, scheduling is
Yeah.
always 3 years. Congratulations on that.
I guess,
Yeah,
thank you.
JB.
Yeah, that's like the longest campaign I have DM'd, and
Oh,
so
boy.
it is very interesting seeing like the flow of it and how like the story kind of unfolds, and it is very fun, kind of essentially like actually like telling a story with the players. I do also find Devil's Creek very interesting. It was the very first and stream game. It was my very first time
Yeah.
like streaming a more not long running, but like a longer than like
Uh,
3 sessions kind of horror
yeah.
mystery kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very very fun. My
Awesome.
yeah, most of my campaigns I find them interesting in some way.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
all campaigns that I do are interesting to me.
I mean,
No,
yeah.
of course I can
Yeah.
understand. I guess off of that question, I would like to ask. I have to be this person. I'm so sorry. You know the kind of person I am. But I have to ask. What's the craziest thing? I guess what's the craziest thing in general that a player has done, in kind of not particularly a positive way, but like one that really like boggled you a little bit, like baffled you in a campaign that you were DMing?
A very good question. Let me think. Something a player did that really boggled me, baffled me. So, w- in in One Piece as well, I had a player that essentially she like they were on this island. They were fighting this person that was like being like mind control, and it's a person like an NPC that were with no this person, but they really didn't directly know it. And then this player started like trying to like act like they knew this person, right? Kind of being like, hey, remember me, this kind of stuff, right? And like I was like, this shouldn't really work, and it really like almost like I don't say like baffled, but I almost like confused a little bit of like why that was happening. But I mean, I ended up just deciding to like roll with it because I didn't like they rolled really well on their check, and I didn't want to say like, oh, it doesn't work because like they would recognize you or something like that. So I just made them actually recognize them, and that ended up like going into a small kind of plot line where the king in this character's mind control was from the this player character that was there like as a baby when their father was like there as a hiding, and ended up like as this mini kind of plot to discovering a little bit more about the player character's father. And yeah, like most of the time when the players make crazy decisions, unless they're like real kind of like negative, which most of the time hasn't happened, I tend to try and like spin it or roll with it in some way.
Well,
That answers
was-
my question.
yeah. Well, I mean
I hope you
that yeah. Uh, I mean that answered like one of my question I was about to ask is how much do you like how much power are you giving the players to like change something that you previously did not have, you know?
I mean that.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, I mean you said yourself that at the beginning why they're having this place, and then you ultimately make a decide to like add something interesting into the the NPC now being like have this mini plot. So I was just curious of like how much do you like let your players dictate what happened.
yeah. Another very good question. Uh, I I tend to like have like a very kind of set plots like in the story like that I when I'm running a
Yeah.
game. I tend to
Uh-huh.
have very set, but generally I have had very good players kind of stick kind of with the quest line or plot line I put in front of them. But I do quite enjoy when a player kind of does something a little bit different. I I think like if a player like, oh, I put like a quest like, oh, you're supposed to go like this, and the player says like, oh no, I'm going like this, right? And there's kind of this almost like this split on the party. I do tend to kind of like try to like guide them back into the main path. But generally, like if I said like, oh, there's like abandoned cast over there, go there and kill monsters, and the players decided, no, we want to travel to the other city. Like most of the time, like if it's agreement amongst the entire party, you can be like, okay, I guess I'm prepping that city now.
Yeah.
Because like if it is agreement within the party, I tend to just try to roll with what they want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time I try to give reasons for all the characters to actually go with the quest line instead of just having to go with it because it is what the story demands. But yeah, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. So you're willing to change your set plans if the players does something interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. For sure. Yeah, there is something that a lot of DMs, from all experience, they're reluctant to do, which is they don't lean away. They still like very strict with the plot, even though the plot has been, very different from what they previously planned, and ultimately which leads to combat DM versus player mentality, to being the DM being like very frustrated, ultimately canceling the session, which honestly is a factor of this leniency to say, hey, the plot has changed, but that's okay. It's the reason why there's like a 3-year campaign, because I'm sure you did not plan for a 3-year campaign. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like my campaign, especially like this one started now 3 years ago, a lot earlier in my DMing career. Like I didn't have like plans on how long the campaign would go, but yeah, I definitely didn't plan that it would go like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
But it does end up developing more and more and more, and so now my plans is that the campaign would probably end sometime next year if everything goes according to plan, but we'll see.
4 years is my limit.
Well.
4 years is my limit. We got it to 3, but 4 years. Yeah. I mean that's the hope essentially on everything, right?
Yeah, I also feel like, I mean, the maximum I've DM'd is like 2 years, I think. 2 years I've done, and that's about it. That's all I could do. And that was like a natural stopping point in the story as well. So I can only imagine how One Piece is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hez, if you have any more questions.
I'm just doing follow-up.
Someone. I have a few from someone. So I'm just like, I gotta ask all of them.
Oh yeah.
Someone.
Some questions. I read it out.
Someone.
It was
someone sent like 7 questions. So strap in.
Sure.
I guess the first question is, why are you so old? Why are you so old?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is really funny because I think I'm older than JB.
It is real funny because he's a month younger than me.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
This is just Divinity staff bullying each other.
Yeah.
You're 1 month older than me? It's crazy.
It's actually a little bit of a joke between us, just because sometimes I call him old even though I'm a month older. Does have a very kind of sometimes very like old kind of like taste on stuff. Yeah. Very funny.
Well, there's some insight into
publicly.
Someone.
Yeah. That's rivalry
but there
type
is
of beat. Sibling rivalry.
Yeah. It feels like it. I mean, but someone JB, I feel like are the most open presences in the Divinity server, at least to me. So I'm just I kind of see them in the same basket almost. It's nice to
The
see.
server itself, I am
Same
a
mimic.
ghost.
Same
I
mimic.
rarely
Same mimic.
publicly talk on the server, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But there
the
is,
staff chats have a little bit more common.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. There is
I
a
mean-
question that I want to pose from someone we have to both of you actually.
Okay. Sure.
Because I think it's interesting to get probably even Haz's perspective on this. But do you have a GM or DM of yours that you look up to or take tips
Ooh.
from? Like, do you see them do something for their campaign that you then add to yours?
Ooh. Yeah, I'll let
Ooh.
JV, the main star of the show, handle this one.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't had too many DMs. Has DM to me before. Divinity
God.
TV are the
Yeah.
two people that mainly DM to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll say like general like I mean a lot of like I have helped Divine a lot because he comes to me with a lot of questions, but I don't know if I ever have told him this, but he's definitely kind of helped me be a bit more comfortable with I guess like how do I put this like just being a little bit more like free and like letting like guess like not exactly meta, but like letting the players itself kind of goof off a little bit in the middle of like a game and stuff like that. Because I especially early on used to be very much kind of like if we're playing a game like no kind of goofing off, like just being character, and the Divine tends to kind of have this moment where kind of like kind of goofing off with the players a little bit, and he can quite easily kind of switch after kind of the goofing off into being like in the game again, and that has helped me be more comfortable. Like that is possible, kind of like goof off, kind of make a joke, laugh with the players, and then immediately kind of switch back into the game and be in the scene. And yeah, he has helped me quite a bit like that. And then like if we're talking like generally and like not necessarily DMs that have DM'd me, Matt Colville has a bunch of YouTube videos. I have gotten a lot of stuff from his YouTube videos. They are very good. I recommend
Yeah.
his
Matt
DM videos.
Colville. Yeah, Matt Colville has a lot of videos that's really helpful. I agree on that one. I spent a lot of time watching his videos as well because there's some topics that still like difficult to grasp, but Matt has not Matthew Mercer, by the way, but Matt Colville.
Yeah, Matt Colville
has some things that the way he breaks it down is like really helpful and such.
If you want to be a good DM, be named Matt.
Matt.
Yeah. Sorry,
That's
and
true.
if you're a woman, tough luck. Tough fucking luck.
Wild. That's so wild. Yeah.
Well, actually, I've made a mistake because someone kind of wanted to remain anonymous. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. That is entirely my
We'll
bad.
fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
We will
Sorry.
we'll fix it in post. Someone wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
No,
I'll just get a
Oh, what were
soundbite
you
of
saying?
someone.
someone.
Paste it up.
No, but
yeah.
Has what was your because I know that you've done this in Curse of Strahd, so I just wanted to ask if you've done this before.
Yeah. Like I'll break it down same as JV. Of like, if it's the DMs that I've played with is like I mentioned this already in Curse of Strahd. It's like my first like DM that I play under, Bexy Chilling. She's amazing. The way that she handles gothic horror is like one of the kind, and I really want like to emulate that in some way. and the way she handled herself, in DMing is very her that I really want to like emulate in some way and pay respect towards. And another one is like to JV, especially in like Devil's Creek. When you do like we shift the camera away, I thought, and the way you describe the camera movement, that was like mind opening to me. I'm really like, you're right. The camera is also a audience. The audience is seeing through the camera. You can manipulate that as well. That's why I always like do something a little bit of that, which is amazing. Which just makes it very dynamic, which I really like as well. But if it's like I'm learning like DMing, honestly recently it's I believe it's Bob Worldbuilder. He's an up and coming like D&D tuber, and he has some things that I really like, especially like the session 01. He's really chill with it, and he gives like unbiased opinions. So yeah, D&D Bob Worldbuilder is my guy I go through like usually when I look for tips and tricks, because his things is like motto of making TTRPG fun is like resonates with me and such. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
my thing.
I have watched Bob the Word Builder a couple times. He is very good.
Yeah, he has that chill vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, all he needs is the Mr. Rogers piano. And I think we'll be like, oh, everybody's just gonna spend time watching him. Yeah,
Fair.
yeah. Don't worry, someone did a really good question. Someone asked a very good question.
One did ask a very good question, and that
Yeah,
same someone
did.
has asked another good question. Who is your favorite DM? Who's your favorite DM in Divinity right now? And the second part of this question will give away their identity.
Yeah, I mean, like I do love most of the DMs. I'll put it like that. Most of the DMs I played it, no one in Divinity have disliked playing under. But my favorite is the person that's been DMing to me the longest. It is Divine. He's very good, and he has improved quite a lot. I am currently in 2 games ahead. And he is great. He always puts himself down, but he is, I think, one of the best DMs I've seen.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I could feel that sentiment. Like knowing what he does, especially with his like Pokemon games, is crazy.
Yes.
Like he showed me like how no, he and Sham showed me like their process on doing like Pokemons, and they're doing it throughout like the entire Pokédex. I thought that was wild how they're doing that.
Yeah, that's a big Pokédex.
Oh yeah, and I saw their have you seen their files on Roll20? It's like folders upon folders upon folders of different like sheets of Pokemon. I was like, whoa. That's too much even for me. And which honestly, hearing that asserts like I got it right. The feeling I have for like Divine being like a really good DM, I got it right because of hearing you saying that makes me believe like Divine is like improving a lot, especially even though I only have like a small glimpse of it. I could see that he's dedicated to the craft, and hearing him improve makes me happy. So I'm not bashing that.
Yeah, he's very good.
Maybe we'll get him on next time.
He's our boss. We can't just bring him in like 2 episodes in. Gotta tease it, man. Sure. We gotta hide.
Gotta tease it. Oh, you're not. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
There's another question, I guess, the last question from someone. And they ask that how is it being a player when you're so used to being the GM usually?
Another great question. Honestly, easier. It is.
Feel that.
Yep.
Feel that. We feel that.
Yep.
I love DMing. It is one of my passions in life, but I also love being a player. I love participating in the stories, having like the interaction with the other characters, and making like a character that I can go more in depth instead of like a bunch of NPCs. That some of them can have a bit more depth, some of them don't. But having like single focus on my character and kind of explore them and their personality, their backstory, and everything, and their relationships and their interactions and all of that. I love doing all of that. And I mean, when I'm playing D&D, I absolutely melt into the character to the point I have yelled in character that people thought I was mad at them. That has happened like
I
twice.
was one of those. I was one of those.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were one of them.
It was in the Avatar game that we were playing.
Yeah,
Like,
it
are
was
you
an
mad at
Avatar.
me?
Oh, I wasn't there. I'm sad. Fuck me.
Yeah, Dylan
Nah.
literally cussed her out, and I was like, "Wait, this felt so
Yeah.
personal." She was like, "No, his character."
I melt a lot into the character. Sometimes a little too much, but yeah. I do
I love
love
the
being a
drama.
player.
I love it. It's a thing. It's a marvel to see, honestly. JD be in character.
See, that's usually the that's why I love when games if there's another GM playing, I always know that it's gonna be fun to like
Yes.
role play with, because they have that inner pent up I want to play yourself.
Yes, I want to
character
play.
moment. Yeah,
Dude,
and
if we do an all DM game on Divinity,
Oh,
that
that'd
would
be great.
fun.
that would be
Yeah.
fun. Oh my god, and the DM is the first time DMing.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I would love
be
that.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
For context, the Avatar game, I think that was like almost all of them were GMs, right? Almost all of
Oh,
them, and
yeah.
all of them are staff.
Yep.
Almost
and
all
of
of them are
varying
staff.
degrees.
Of
Yeah.
varying degrees. I'm sad that it's gone now, but
Yeah.
understandable. A lot of moving pieces were happening behind the scenes, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. We'd love
I miss my character every single day.
I miss my character too. Honestly, that was like my when I stretched out my wings, like after I don't know 2 years of straight GMing. You know,
Yeah.
that was so much
yeah.
fun.
Do you have a question more for JB? I feel like I have one more question, and then I have one from me.
I mean, I also have one, but it's like unrelated topic, so it will be its own conversation.
Go for it. No, go
Really?
for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, JV, you said it earlier on, first time streaming a game. Personally, I have my own two thoughts about it, since I think I spent most of my GMing time live streaming my games. So I'm curious, your perspective towards it. How different is it from preparing and playing a stream game than preparing and playing on a offline game? Like, what's the difference between the two in your opinion?
Yeah. Generally, there's a lot of similarity, just quite a bit more trying to keep stuff on like a general kind of length, because I don't want like a stream game to go for like hours and hours and hours or be too short of a stream. And I mean, my main experience streaming game is Devil's Creek, so it wasn't D&D, and it was a
Yeah.
very much a more free kind of thing.
Yeah.
Since it didn't have combat and stuff like that. So it did give me a little bit of a like at the same time like a greater control, a bit more of a kind of like a floating in the middle of the sea, because like if a session's gonna be too short, I can like try and quickly like throw a combat to kind of stretch it a little bit more on a regular kind of game. Or if it's gonna be too long, I can cut a combat or cut a scene that I think is not gonna be too necessary, or like move it later. But like Devil's Creek was very much like I had my plan for the session, and I very much had to like keep track of time and be and like, okay, let's try and move the scene along if it's taking a little too long, or let's try to slow this down and introduce something that maybe the players can think on and kind of take a little bit more time. That's kind of the main difference. It is the timing. Besides that, I guess it's just like for streaming, I think you do have to have very good players that
I agree.
that understand that
Yeah.
that you are like not only are going to be kind of helping with kind of move the story along, but also can not necessarily be descriptive, but like show their characters in a way, so to speak, to really be able to demonstrate their characters.
Did you feel like this like external pressure during the time in Devil's Creek, where you have to be like, oh, I need to be entertaining, or I need to like push something because there's people watching? Did you ever feel something like that?
Before every session, kind of like starting kind of and a little bit during the prep. But when I kind of start DMing, I just kind of went into it. There were moments where kind of like like kind of the realization set in of like, okay, gotta keep this entertaining. But most of the time it's just a bit of like autopilot, so to speak, or like come just like DM and not really worrying too much about the stream itself. It helped during Devil's Creek. I wasn't the one streaming; it was PP, so he kind of could take care of like technical difficulties and stuff like that. And Mike,
Oh boy.
instead of me, that's something I probably recommend, to try and have a second person instead of the DM kind of taking care of streaming things. I think that would help a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like a tip for me as well, because I do everything on my end. So yeah, but yeah, honestly, yeah, I felt like during my time there, I'll say that you really handle yourself well in Devil's Creek. It feels the pace feels right, even though there were some moments we did goof around. I believe that you really paced the story. You paced how we progress our characters really well. So yeah, I just want to see hear your opinions and your perspectives about it. As some people might think of doing streaming a game. So that's really interesting. I mean, that's my question. So we can go ahead and go to you, T.
Yeah. The last question I had, I mean, not me, but an anonymous questioner asked, what is the favorite game that you've played in?
My favorite game that I played in, it is one that has been mentioned here, specifically a lot by Has. It is the Divine's Pokemon game. It is my favorite game I have played in. I absolutely loved it. I am a crazy Pokemon fan. I love Pokemon. And even and even when just getting into TTRPGs, I wanted to play in a Pokemon game, and when Divine started running, I jumped in. And that game had a lot of up and downs. It was the first game Divine ever DM'd, I believe, and he started with I think 8 or 9 players. And so the poor guy was
What?
overwhelmed. Yes.
What?
Um,
No.
Oh my
That's
god,
crazy.
that's
8 to
insane.
9 right off the bat. That's wild.
yeah.
The longest
Um,
session I've ever DM'd was 7 hours. That was insane.
Oh my god.
yeah. And yeah, so it was a lot of players, and he was overwhelmed, and eventually, he split into like two parties, and then one party kind of dropped out, and eventually he really kind of as he learned more DMing stuff, he really hit his stride with the game, and it is one of my favorite games ever. It is one of my favorite characters to play is the character playing that game. Honestly, my character from Another One's Defines game is actually quickly catching up because I love to play him as well. But they're both really
Mm.
characters I love.
Mm.
And yeah, it is absolutely my favorite game that I have played in.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's awesome.
And I'm sorry, did you say players or hours? Because my my mind
I thought they
was.
say- I think they say players, right?
Yeah, players, 8 to 9 players, I believe.
Oh my god. No.
Yeah, he was
8 to 9 is
overwhelmed.
crazy.
It's more than Critical Role. That's crazy to think
I
about.
know. Well, Matt recently DM'd for 10 people on his
What?
table. Yeah, in C3.
You know what? You know what? That's him.
And-
You know, he can do his own thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
don't recommend that as a beginning
Yeah.
DM. Don't
Yeah,
yeah,
recommend
no.
that.
Even
Yeah.
when I had a little bit of experience, I DM to a fairly big game with a lot of people, and it is very, very difficult.
Oh
One of
my
the
god.
IRL games that I was in had like 10 players. No one
Oh my
got
God.
any words in.
Uh,
No one
Yeah,
said anything
Actually,
coherently.
that actually like brought up a topic and be like, how do you manage like spotlighting? Like, how do you manage that?
good question. I tend to either like in a more like short scale. Let's say the players are going in a dungeon. Again, like if they're all together, I tend to like focus on the party. If there is some scene where maybe they're trying to like solve a puzzle or something. Generally, there's like one or two players that kind of they kind of take charge when like trying to like solve a puzzle or like some sort of situation. And then so I tend to start like the spotlight on them, and occasionally can like shift to like, okay, as you're like trying to solve this puzzle, X character, what are you currently doing, right? Sometimes players don't want the spotlight on there. They're gonna say like, oh, I'm like there like keeping watch, and they'll be like, okay, roll perception. Like the corridor behind you seems to be fine, and then I move back to either the main kind of player that's like handling the puzzle, someone else. And sometimes they're gonna be like, oh, can I look around and see if there's any like secret switches or something like that? Which symbolizes to me that they want to get more involved with the scene, and then I can kind of more readily kind of help them with that. And it's generally kind of in that case to see. And if the players are like scattered in different locations, I tend to switch a lot between them. In even like in middle of the scenes, right? So like one player is going towards a shop, so I have like generally like then like rolling to like find the shop they're looking for. They find the shop, they enter, I describe the entrance of the shop, and then like I cut to another player, do a little bit of what they're doing, then I cut back to the other player and like have them like going to the shop, and when they finish buying, I go to another player, do their stuff, and then like eventually get back to the player and just say like, okay, you finished shopping, what are you doing now? And I tend to like bounce around between all the players, especially when they're scattered and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a game of hot potato, honestly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been hearing my opinions about some matter. How about you, T? How do you handle spotlighting in your games?
Oh, well, so I think spotlighting generally I leave it in like actually travel We talked about travel the other day in the other podcast when we were doing the 44 rules post, but travel
Yeah.
is a great way to like spotlight certain players because they might not take initiative sometimes or might just like feel a little not comfortable taking initiative. So like in conversation, you could like certain players might shine a little bit more when they're in conversation with other players in character. Another good like another way I don't know if it's good, but another way that I spotlight is I tend to really like sit down early on with each player and take a good account of their character and what all story beats they might wish to see in the campaign, so that I know to fulfill those expectations with a twist. And setting that early on sets the pace for then kind of cycling through each player and their backstories and their fates, as it were, in the world. So yeah, it's again boils down to session zeros are important, and
Yeah.
just having those like pillow shots, I think they're called, or like pillow scenes. Where it's like, oh, you're not doing anything, there's no combat, there's no like, you don't need to be hyper vigilant, you can just let characters be characters in that one scene. Works really well, I think, and that usually happens either just before a long rest in D&D or
Yeah.
during travel whenever certain other players might take initiatives with the less proactive ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's all
yeah,
organic, I think.
yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I do use long rests and kind of like camping and that kind of stuff while traveling very much as a point where like players can, talk about stuff or discuss things in character and kind of have moments like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe even if I don't have something like in the bank already, then I try and manufacture things on the spot that could like help players bring them out the shell, because sometimes it just takes like a little spark to
Yeah.
get them interested, get them invested even. So yeah.
And good thing is, yeah, like decided to find what your players want out of the game. Because some players like the combat, some players like the role playing, some players like the exploration, and really kind of find what they had the most fun with. Like T said,
Yes.
very important.
Thank you. I that brings me, I guess, to the question of DMing in general. And you say, I mean, you are a professional DM, so give us a little bit of insight on how that looks and how different that is to just DMing for yourself or for your friends.
Oh, very, very good question again. Yeah, it is something that started a little bit ago that I joined up and started playing, started DMing, and it is definitely like a different experience. For that, I mostly DM existing modules. I have DM Lost Mines, Wide Beyond the Wedgelight, and DMing Frost Maiden, Curse of Strahd. And it definitely has kind of this extra layer of I guess like stress, so to speak, where at least for me personally, I get really anxious that I want to make sure that the players are being entertained, that they are enjoying it, that if there is any problem they can come to me, because they are kind of paying me, so I feel this extra pressure to really kind of live up to expectations.
like make their
So, yeah.
money's worth.
Money's worth,
Yeah,
yeah.
very much that. And it is a lot of, like managing as well, kind of like, oh, this player maybe couldn't make it during the session and, forgot to like, to skip on the app. So, really have to, make sure to like give the refund, and, sometimes players like, oh, I won't be able to make it, and another player says that, and so like you have to cancel the session because you're not gonna have enough number of players and really like communicate that early on because you don't want people to get mad because I wouldn't say like entitled, that's like that kind of has a bad connotation to it, but like they want to like be notifying, like they don't want to like have blend their afternoon to be in this game, and then like where they're paying for it and then suddenly be sprung with a oh, we're not having a game today. So really try to be communicative, try to tell them if a game is happening or not, and as soon as you can. And it's really like this extra layer of managing on top of the regular kind of DMing.
Right. That's really interesting, and I imagined it would be a little bit more stressful as well.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a little bit like a corporate environment DMing. Even
Fair.
even though when I mean, I think it's similar, but I wasn't getting paid. But like when I DM'd at the local art gallery, where like it's the city's art gallery and it's like the council is involved and everything,
Yeah.
you kind of feel that added kind of pressure to perform, almost like it's like a
Yeah.
stage performance, I feel like.
Yeah.
Very much.
So you want to kind of strike that balance of like enjoying the game, but also enjoying the performance, but then also delivering.
Yeah.
I imagine it's the same with streaming. I imagine it's the same with professional DMing, and I imagine it's the same. I know it's the same with like the council-sponsored events that I do.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, it's like there is like certainly a barrier that you have to get used to, or not barrier, like pressure you have to used to, of there are like you have to perform. That is like the pressure that you are being dealt with, especially like doing something as bigger than playing this game with your friends and random people on offline. Like you have to be a little bit more, like give more to the craft than usual. In which is that, JV, is there like a point when you're doing this, when you're doing a professional DMing, where like you felt like you're not suited for it? Like, is there like there's a point where you feel like imposter syndrome starts to set in?
Oh yeah, all the time. I have big imposter syndrome just generally in life.
Heavy question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It just led to that. It just led to that.
Fine. I don't mind. But yeah, it definitely is something that happens all the time. The sense of like, hey, I'm just DMing. Like, why am I getting paid for this? Like, very much like I always gotta like, oh, I gotta do this better. Always gonna improve. I always gotta do better because if not, I'm not worth this money. And definitely for me personally, sometimes it's a little gets a little weaker, especially because some of these games have been going on for longer. It definitely like kind of get the feeling of like I must be doing something right if someone has stuck for like 10 sessions, right? But it definitely never fully goes away.
Do you think that's like a good motivator to improve?
Uh,
Or say a
it helps
healthy
you
way, you
improve.
would say.
I wouldn't say it's good. It helps you improve, but I wouldn't say it's a good motivator. It is a motivator.
Yeah. Sorry,
So
because
funny. I loved it.
there's like, you know, it's like for me, like I've looking into it for sure. I've asked you a question about it, not sorry, JV, about start playing.
We are the same
and
person.
Yes,
Yes. You found the
Um,
truth.
Yeah, you've been the mimic this entire time. My God, that's
Yes.
crazy.
It's me.
It's like, you know, there's this. I have a massive imposter syndrome. It's like I don't feel like I deserve to get paid during GMing. You know, doing GMing, and you know, I thought it's being like anxiety inducing, right? It's really interesting to hear that you use it as a motivator, which is honestly very healthy. I might say.
I don't think so, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to provide a more positive perspective to this, I guess a positive question is where do you think your deficit is with the DMs that you enjoy? So let's, for example, I enjoy Hez as a DM. I enjoy JV as a DM, even though I haven't really played under games. But what I've
Yeah.
seen of JV DMing, which is quite a lot, it's always been good. So I would ask for the same in terms of how you guys feel, where you guys feel your deficit is, your personal favorite DMs. Doesn't have to be a Matt Mercer or a Brennan Lee Mulligan or anything like that. Just anyone who you've played with, any DM that you've played with. Where do you think you're lacking that you feel like you can't do it?
They're like a
Damn, that make me think.
yeah, yeah. Like I said before, Divine does have kind of that kind of general kind of know how to like carry on like a goofy kind of moment between the players and also kind of get back into the scene. That he helped me a lot in that regard. PB, I have played in a couple games with PB. One of the longest games I have been in is DM by PB. It's Sharon Hollow on the Divinity server.
Oh yeah, that channel.
Yeah. And PB, how do I put this? He's very good at improvising in the moment and kind of trying to give every player what they want and very much kind of improvise kind of scenario because Sherm Hollow is very open. And it definitely is something like I very much try to always kind of try to see like what a player wants in a moment, right? What are they trying to do? What they want to get out of that? And I think PB is very good at finding that, like finding what are you trying to do in that moment and kind of giving it to you or kind of slapping you in the face and saying like you're gonna die if you do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Who else? PB and Divine are kind of my two most major kind of DMs I have played with. I have played with Hess before. And
Yes. That was when I was a
mention
baby.
me.
I mean, yeah, that was a while before.
I was a baby. Goddamn.
But I do enjoy the freedom you give to players. In the little bit I played, it felt like the players were very free to try and do whatever they want to. And that's something that I like. I tend to give freedom, but I don't think at the same level, the same scale as you do, and I find that very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
This is just JB's love letter to all the D&D Divinity DMs.
Games, yeah.
Let's see, who else? There's a couple more people that have DM'd to me, but none of them kind of crazy long term. I feel like I'm forgetting someone and I'm gonna beat myself up about it, but
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. No worries.
Yeah, that's right. No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
I guess then my last question, promise is like, how do you go about being a professional DM? Just giving, just not giving into the imposter syndrome, doing it all. What are the tools that you must possess? Not like actual hardware, software, but like what tools do you have interpersonally that you think makes for a good professional DM? Doesn't have to necessarily be you.
That's a very, very good question. I think personally, if you want to be a good DM, you need to be communicative. That's one of the main thing. You need to be very much kind of like tell like people like what the situation kind of is with the games and everything, know how kind of like manage and kind of resolve things, because with professional DM is like both the situations where I've gotten like the like specific from like random, like starting like a random campaign and letting people join, or quote unquote random, without like inviting people that it is both the situations that have gotten the best people for that kind of thing, and very much like bad people for that kind of thing, and knowing kind of to manage. I mean, like dealing with like conflicts and problem players. That is like probably one of the big skills you gotta do. Because if there is one problem player in your game, you do gotta like handle that more like efficiently than any other kind of game, because people will just leave if there's a player that they don't enjoy.
For sure.
That happens a lot. And also kind of mentally just be prepared to have ups and downs, because sometimes you have a game with 5 people and then the next week 2 people dropped off because of whatever reason it is. And kind of like mentally be prepared for that. Like, sometimes it's, you very much try to attribute that to your worth, of like, hey, if I DM'd better, if I handled this thing better, they would not have left. And sometimes that is the case, but most of the time it's mostly just because schedule changes, or the person they want to save up money, whatever the fact is, and you don't gotta beat yourself up about it.
That's an incredible answer. Thank you so much. That was very informative, I think, and very insightful. Do we have time for one AITA post? Because I really think that should be a feature.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
Yes.
We can do it.
I did send you one, I think, which was interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's in
you
your DMs.
did.
I did. I did my job.
Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. All right, I'll pull it up. Wait. We got that JV here.
Part of the void now. Ooh.
Where is JV?
It's okay. Harold just swallowed him for the time.
No. We have to add. We have to
help. I'm inside the chest.
It's okay. We're working on it. Oh my god.
Here I am.
Hyper realistic mimic ASMR.
There we go. Right. Oh shit! No, this one. Alrighty then. Oh.
We are.
Oh my god.
The long one.
All right. I'll go ahead and read this app because I can see it the most clear. So,
Please.
Am I the asshole for not letting this girl join our D&D group? Okay. This happened a few years ago, but it's important to what happened to me earlier. I know this girl, late 20s, we'll call her Melody. We were co-workers a few years back and we have some mutual friends since we're both gamers. Recently, I started seeing this guy who is very into playing poker, blackjack, and other card games. We're nothing serious yet. It's very new. He invited me to game night, but I'm not exactly the casino card game type, so I asked around to see who can teach me. One of our mutual friends said that Melody is actually very into poker and blackjack and some other games. She actually used to play with the group regularly and is pretty good. Our friend says that he thinks she counts cards, whatever that means. So I reached out to her, but she laughed at me and said no. When I asked why, she said it was because I wouldn't let her play D&D. She said I was an asshole for excluding her. Ooh, interesting. I'm part of a D&D group with my coworkers. We've been playing together for years. When Melody was working with us, I told her about the group one day because she wanted to hang out, but it was game night. A few days later, she asked if she can join. Per our rules, unless you are formally invited by a veteran member who is also willing to mentor you, you can't join. So I told her that. She asked me to be that person and I rejected her. I told her that I don't think D&D is the game for her. She can barely handle understanding how her paycheck is calculated, and D&D requires a lot of calculation and is heavy on memory. She was pretty upset, but I held my ground and suggested she ask someone else to mentor her. But she never found anyone else, so she never got to join. And then she found a different job a few months later. So, coming back to today, she's holding that grudge against me and refuses to help me. She even told me to have fun on your date sarcastically and hanged up. Am I the asshole? All right. I mean, there's an edit down there, but you know. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a doozy.
Oh yeah.
Before any thoughts are given, let me just give you a little like man-up of what card counters do, or like what card counting is. So card counting is like a blackjack strategy. It's used in a blackjack game, used to determine whether like the player or the dealer has like an advantage on the next hand. And card counters are advantage players who try to overcome the casino house edge by keeping a running count of high and low valued cards dealt. So pretty, it doesn't really say anything about her skills, her lack of skills in D&D, or her lack of skills. If anything, it attests to her skills in math.
About to say she can count cards, but she cannot add like 17 plus 3. Like, what?
Yeah.
And also, like, D&D is not a math-heavy game. Like, sure, it slows down a little bit, but you're not having to do like calculus.
No,
That's
it's
true.
It's just
mainly
addition and
probability.
subtraction, and sometimes division.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, is she the asshole?
she definitely in the situation how she handled it, I do think she is. Especially like she just like, hey, like, sorry, I'm not gonna like invite you to the game. It's like, all right, sure, you like it is like your game, but like you people for most of the time, like for inviting or uninviting people, like for me it's like left up to DM, which I don't think she is. So maybe she should have like talked to the DM, but it seems like they have kind of agreed kind of own thing. But then being like, no, you're not fit for this game. That is like a big kind of asshole move.
I feel like okay, so I want your. Sorry, go ahead, Hez.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying that like the way they said that in order to join, you have to get invited by a a member, like a veteran member, and you have to get mentored. I think that's just a big excuse for them to not have people join. I think
exactly
that's just like
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, hey, we don't want people to join, but we don't really want to say they don't want to join. So we're gonna make this elaborate, way to say, hey, you do this and this, and so if you can't find someone, you can't join, which is you know.
But it's like, like it's such a complicated thing. It's just be like, oh, sorry, game is full.
Yeah, it's just
there
like
you
they
go,
don't
like-
want they don't want to hate like. They don't want to like hurt someone's feelings, but they did so in any way.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah, it is very weird. And
like
the way like they're saying like invited by a veteran player, it gives me like I wanna know what is this D&D game, because like it's a D&D game that are like, constantly adding players, that it has like veteran players and newer players and stuff like that. Feels like almost like a West Marches kind of type game.
it felt like that too. It actually felt like it is like a West March, which at that point they have more the reason to allow new players to join. Like, why do they need that invite thing they have? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, why?
I just don't think the system is very good. You know, like
Fair.
you can only join if you not the Westmart system, just a system of like the
I
mentor
know.
being there. Oh, yeah, okay, good. I was like, I'm not let the Westmart cast any catch any strays. But no, I just think the mentoring system is weird because first of all, it's only game. Why you have to be mad?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my god. People sometimes forget about that, being like, hey, D&D is a game. This is not business.
Yeah.
It's a game. Like, game's
Yeah,
supposed to be
and-
fun. Game's supposed to be shared to everybody. Like, why do we have to have this elaborate rule set to prevent someone doing that?
yeah, it's just really weird gatekeeping behavior, which
Mm-hmm.
is counterintuitive to what D&D is supposed to be.
And oh
Yeah,
my
I
god,
agree.
I love how the reason why she thinks that she can't do it because it handles calculations, even though like a previous paragraph ago, they fucking sorry, oh fuck, they basically said that they think they count cards, basically doing the same thing as like what D&D is doing, basically adding and subtracting. Even in the edit themselves saying that
Yeah.
it's nothing special. It's nothing more than adding subtracting values of cards. So yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing in, it's the same thing in D. I don't understand. If it's
Yeah.
just adding and subtracting cards, then guess what, bitch? Guess what? She's fine to play D&D. Also, may I add, as a woman,
Yes.
she said in the edit that like, okay, fine, I'm an asshole. You all can shut up. And for the record, I'm a woman. It does not mean you can't be sexist to other women. Because I think a bunch of people were calling her sexist in the comments, I'm pretty sure. But let me tell you
I'm
now.
not gonna scroll down. I'm not gonna scroll down because it's Reddit. So I'm not trusting that.
Well, in my experience, the biggest gatekeepers of any game tend to be women who are already entrenched in it. Like, yes, men gatekeep, but I expect that behavior from them. But when I used to play Dota 2 back in the day, sorry, I mean,
Oh,
I don't
boy.
expect it from like
no.
you guys, but
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
when I used to play
Go on.
Dota 2 back in the day,
Yeah.
I was gatekept by not one, not two, but a bunch of women who had played it for a time, who have like played it for a long time, and they were gatekeeping that game for me on no real basis, just like this post, So I feel like the I'm a woman doesn't really work. It just doesn't.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's very fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
any
just-
thoughts, JV?
it just feels like a general weird situation, like this style that this group has of like inviting people. If it is a regular D&D group, I feel like I mean, personally, that is like the DM invites people, and even if like some players like, hey, I want to invite someone, they like talk to the DM, and they don't
Yeah.
just like invite and then the person show up. And if it is kind of West Marchers type game, I mean, I do understand kind of having like a general kind of like thing of like you don't want like any random person to join in, but also like it feels like very very weird the way they're doing it. And yeah, the way this person handled it was just like you could have just said like, oh no, sorry, the game is full or whatever other reason
Or talk to the
instead of
DM.
being like
Yeah.
instead of being like no, you're not smart enough for D&D.
Yeah. The fact
Yeah.
that, the fact that she basically, or they basically said, hey, you can't do D&D because it needs calculations, and because of I see you how well you calculate your paycheck. No. It's like, why are you making that
That's-
assumption
Yeah. And
immediately?
does this person know the other woman? Like, how do you know if the paycheck is
Yeah.
getting counted correctly or not? That's so.
Yeah.
And also, what a backhanded thing to say in general.
Very backhand. I
Bad
agree.
vibes from this one.
Bad
Bad
vibes.
vibes.
So, I guess we're in agreement here that this person is
Yeah.
an asshole.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. All
Do
right.
you have any interesting posts as to?
Nope.
Grow up.
Nope. I don't have anything. Don't have anything.
All right.
I think that's good. That's good. That's good.
That
enough.
is good. Yeah. We got the interviewee
Yeah.
to say some things, give some thought.
Yeah. Oh, is there anything you want to ask, or for us specifically?
Yeah.
Oh.
If you want to ask anything to us.
If you want to ask.
Fair. Let's say what
Is
general
anything you'd like to ask?
let's say like what general advice would you give to a DM? Not necessarily a new DM, just like a DMs in general.
I think I'm too small to give any DM advice.
No. Every advice matters. Everybody
Even
has
players
their own
have
say.
good DMing advice.
Yeah.
But I guess in my experience, I mean, I can go if you want. Has
Yeah,
whoever
go
you want.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it always pays to be compassionate to players. And I don't think that you need to be so much at odds with players. Not that anyone is, but please understand that the players are playing your game and they're
Yes.
here for a fun time. And if you're just going to, be kind of an arsehole about it, you're going to lose your player base. And
Oh yeah.
it's not going to just happen with one group. It might happen with a few groups. So just remember to be kind and be compassionate.
Yes. Very well put.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'll go with a somewhat joking answer, being like, don't be afraid to inflict pain to players. They enjoy it. Mental pain. Traumatize
The
them.
duality of our answers is so funny.
Traumatize them. Like, okay, not traumatize them by doing something horrible, but in game, like, characters.
Two
like,
characters.
make their do something with their characters that's like relevant to them, not basically being like do something horrible on their characters specifically, doing something they're the players is uncomfortable about, but doing something that's basically at the end of the day saying, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I always feel that moment is like united the players and the DMs together. That means that the players are invested, and that means the DM listened to them, and they're also invested.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
that's
So to
why when
condense our advice
Yeah.
into one is be nice to them in person, be cruel to them in character.
yes, exactly.
Angel and
Don't be
devil on
afraid.
my shoulders.
Yeah.
Angel and
And,
devil.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. yeah.
You.
Those
I
are
think
very good advice.
yeah. I think that's pretty good to wrap up there. So
Post-it
Yeah.
notes are good.
hey, that's my thing. You don't see that's my thing.
I stole
That's my
it.
thing. No.
Mom
No.
said it's my turn on the post-it notes.
No, my post-it notes.
I think that
I'm-
brings us to the end of the questions that we have in the bank, and
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions.
Yeah.
What about you?
Feel free. I'm here all day.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I have one. It is, I believe, the most important, and and me and T had discussed about it. Is the singular question that must be asked. And you're the first one to hear about it, which is pancakes or waffles.
Pancakes or
serious
waffles?
It's a very serious question.
You must choose.
Yes,
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll
must
have to
choose.
say waffles.
All right, one on the board.
All right.
It's 1-0. Waffles in the lead
1-0 to
currently.
waffles. Yep.
Yeah, 102 waffles. Yeah. JV, thank you so much for joining us. It is a wonderful conversation, and it's a wonderful to have you here. I have so much fun. How about you, T?
Yes.
What do you think so far?
It was a true pleasure, and I do think that it has been a successful first interview. I couldn't think of a better
Yeah.
candidate, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you too. It was very fun. Anytime, and yeah,
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Feeling like a celebrity here.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Harold is holding you
Who's to
very
say?
nicely there.
Yeah.
Very
For
nicely.
sure.
Harold loves you, and so do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, is there anything else you want to say to the people who are watching right now?
Thank you everyone for watching my little interview here. And I appreciate both of you. Allow me to come here and talk a little bit. For as introverted as I am, I do love talking.
Oh, you found
Especially in
yourself
a
in good
very
company.
very comfortable space like this. I really appreciate it.
Well-
And yeah, and to those Divinity viewers, I do have some stuff cooking that should come in this year, so probably.
Oh,
I'll leave
on
it
that
at that.
note, yeah, and on that note, where can we find your DMing service?
Oh, that is on Start Playing. It is a website. You should be able to find me there. I use this very image here. You see myself as my profile. And yeah, if anyone's interested there.
Yeah.
And yeah, besides that, you can probably find me here in the occasionally showing up in the Twitch channel. You can find on my own Twitch, twitch.tv/themythicalJV. I stream there on occasion. And yeah, I do have a Twitter, but I barely post anything there.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
I'll be
you are
sure
the
to
man,
leave that.
the myth, the legend.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be sure to leave those. Be sure to leave those things in the description. So go ahead and check them out. So, again, thank you for watching. And it is I, Has, and this person over there is T, and our wonderful guest JV. And as always, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.